Hello everyone, my name is Mona Rahimi, Certified Grief Recovery Methods Specialist. I've started this series of educational videos about how to recognize loss, about how to process grief, and about recovery, which is getting better. And I am putting all of this on my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Mona GRMS Rahimi, Grief Recovery Methods Specialist. There are two Mona Rahimis. So if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you will have an easier access to these videos. If you have experienced a loss of any kind, losses such as death of a loved one, a divorce, a move, a financial difficulty, starting a new school, starting college, a loss of a friendship. For children, it could be as easy as loss of a doll. These losses that the Grief Recovery Method Institute has identified 41 losses we experience in our lives. If you have experienced one of these losses, then you're grieving. Grief, as the Grief Recovery Method Institute says, is a normal and natural response to loss. So, if you have experienced a loss, then your heart is broken, then you're grieving, and most probably it's hard to move on. It's hard to get hold of your life, to get a normal and happy life. As a grief recovery method specialist, I will never ever tell you how to feel. As a certified grief recovery method specialist, I will never tell you that I know how you feel, because I don't. You most probably are suffering from a pain that is caused by an unfinished relationship that you had with that loss. And I can help you with showing you, giving you the tools and showing you the way of taking the steps towards getting better and towards recovery. Today's topic is the G word, as we refer to it in the Grief Recovery Method Institute, guilt. Guilt is a word that is supposed to be used in a court of law. Someone has done something wrong, and they're found guilty in a court of law. So when you are experiencing loss, the word guilt, unfortunately, is used by grievers and friends of grievers a lot. This is one of the most commonly used and the most wrongfully used word in association with grief. And when you use the word guilt with someone, it kind of gets stuck with them. It's very trapping, and they make them stay in that mode, in that feeling. And when you use the wrong word, then you're gonna have the wrong feeling. I actually would like to read a passage from this book. It's the Grief Recovery Handbook. It's my go-to book for anything grief related, under what we call the G word. There's a passage. I would like to show you actually this book, the Grief Recovery Handbook. It's a standard painful interaction at the Grief Recovery Institute sounds like this. And we get a lot of calls like this. Griever, my son committed suicide. I feel so guilty. Institute, did you ever do anything with intent to harm your son? No. And this is almost a universal response. Institute, the dictionary definition of guilt implies intent to harm. Since you had no intent to harm, can you put the G word back in the dictionary? You are probably devastated enough by the death of your son. You do not need to add to it by hurting yourself with an incorrect word that distorts your feeling. And almost always we get this response, really, I did not look at it that way. 15 years ago, in a massive house fire, I lost my son, and trying to save him, I almost died. I had third-degree burns all over my body. I was in a coma, and when the few years following this incident, I had many conflicting and sad feelings. It was a very traumatic experience. Part of those feelings, one of those feelings, was the G word. I felt guilty that I did not and was not able to help my son. Going through the Recovery Method Institute program, I recognized that what I was feeling was the devastation, the sadness of the loss of my son. I was missing him. My heart was broken. So putting the wrong word was making me feel the wrong way. And then I realized that the original loss, which was my son, we experienced a lot of loss of hopes, dreams, and expectations. In association with the loss of my son, I lost the hope of seeing him graduate, seeing him get married, doing the mother-son dance, seeing his children. So these losses that I lost, that was attached to the original loss, was some other things that I was grieving as well. So it is really important to identify that. And it is really important for you, if you are feeling the G word, to ask yourself, are there any hopes, dreams, and expectations that I'm experiencing? For example, in regard to the loss from going through a divorce, you know, the hopes that we were going to have a life, or we were going to have children, or, you know, many things that was attached to this. Sometimes we hide behind the shield of guilt. It becomes familiar because we have gone through it for years and years. Sometimes, you know, we go to support groups that use it as a stage in grief recovery, which we do not agree with that at all. So it becomes familiar, and again, because originally, you know, the mom dies. I wasn't able to be at her side when she passes away. Then every time the word mom is mentioned, you know, some friends said at that point, at the beginning, that, oh, do you feel guilty? I automatically feel guilty every time I mention the word mom, which I really am feeling sadness because I've lost my mom, and my relationship is unfinished with her. That's what I was referring to at the beginning of this video. We sometimes have unresolved grief because, as I mentioned, there are 41 losses. Then we have been experiencing losses, you know, many losses in our lives, and our first response to experiencing loss is, okay, I'm going to push it down, because society will automatically label me as weak if I show any kind of emotions. So this has become a habit for all of us to automatically push down our emotions, and then these griefs will, you know, are unresolved, and then it becomes like a broken record with a broken needle, and then it just keeps spinning and spinning and spinning without getting anywhere. And feeling guilty is pretty much the same. You know, you feel guilty, and you keep spinning and spinning without you don't see an end to it, without an annoying, with an annoying noise. So we need to identify the loss that we are experiencing. We need to identify that unfinished relationship that we have with that loss, and we need to put the G word back in the dictionary and process our actual feeling towards the loss. And I, as a grief recovery method specialist, I'm certified to do this program online, so you can contact me and we can take the steps, and I will give you a tool that will help you with any other losses that you've experienced in your life, or any losses that you might experience in the future, that I will equip you with those tools, and you will be able to process your grief, and you will be able to get better, and you will be able to distinguish and say, it wasn't my fault. I did not intend to harm. I am feeling sadness. You can contact me by sending me an email, Mona Rahimi GRM @gmail.com, or you can send me a text or call me at area code 818-458-4054. I would be more than happy to hear from you. We can talk, and I can tell you what is it that I can do for you. And if you think that what I'm going to provide is going to be helpful to you and you will be able to move on, then we can take it from there. Thank you so much for watching, and be safe out there.